Hey guys, today we have another 3 skills to review, and I say review because once again this entire first chapter should hopefully be review. The first thing we're going to do is evaluate an equation where a variable is on one side of the equation, as is in the case of 4n minus 10 equals 12. And we're just trying to find out what n is. And the reason we want to do this is because we have an equal sign. So we know n is equal to something. We got to solve the equation because n is equal to something. But right now it's a little unclear what that is. So the first thing we want to do is, of course, get n by itself. N is a bad guy. No one wants to be around it. We got to get everything away from it. So let's get rid of this 10. To get rid of 10, you add 10 to both sides to get 22 equals 4n. And it's 4 times n, so we're going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. We'll divide by 4, 22 over 4. We can simplify this to 11 halves, or I don't care if you guys just divide it and say 22 divided by 4, 5.5. A lot of things we do in here are going to be multiple choice though, so be expecting to see this or this, and you need to know they're the same thing because we just divided by 2 on the top and the bottom to get 11 halves. So just be prepared for either one. Let's do one more example of this really fast involving fractions. I know that fractions are something that scare people sometimes, and no one should have any reason to be afraid of this. So let's try this problem. 3/11 b plus 5 equals 7. So b wants to be by itself. That's the only way we're ever going to find out what it equals. So let's get rid of this number first. Subtract 5 to get 2. So 3/11 b equals 2. Now to get rid of a fraction, you got to do this weird multiply by the inverse thing. And you need to feel comfortable doing this as well. So we do this because when we cross multiply, it turns into 1, and 1b is the same as b. So that's what we want. We have to remember to multiply this side by 11/3 as well. Now, when you multiply this out, 2 is actually a numerator. So this gets multiplied by the 11. Do not find yourself wanting to multiply this 2 times 3. You multiply the 2 times the 11. So that will give us 22. And it's actually 2 over 1 if you want to think about it like that. So 1 times 3 is 3. Or if you don't want to think about it like that, it's just 3. So 22/3. And this is an acceptable answer. But if you really hate fractions, you can divide it out. And you get 7.3 repeating. But that's not as specific and precise as this. All right, we're going to kick it up a notch and evaluate an equation where y is actually on both sides of the equation. So maybe 3y plus 7 equals y minus 3. And when we do this, the first thing we want to realize is we never want y to be equal to y. That's never going to tell us anything important. We want y to be equal to a number, so we need to get rid of one of these y's. So I'm just going to choose one. This one's easier. So let's say y. Let's subtract the y out of there. Let's subtract it from here to get 2y plus 7 equals -3. Now it's the same as what we just learned. Subtract 7 to get -10. 2y equals -10. And I always rewrite everything. It's the only way to make sure that you're not going to make a mistake. And you're still going to make a mistake. I'm still going to make mistakes, but we're trying to mitigate that risk. Now, let's divide by 2 and get y is equal to -5. The final type of problem is just a problem with a variable on both sides, but involves the distributive property. So maybe 5d plus 17 is equal to 4 times d plus 3. Wow, my handwriting is extremely sloppy. Hopefully this improves over the course of this year. Not making any promises, but since these are some of my first videos, it it has to get better. Anyways, let's multiply the distributive property first. So 4 times d is 4d. 4 times 3 is plus 12. It's a positive 12 or plus 12, same exact thing. Equals 5d plus 17. Again, just rewriting the problem. Now we need to get the d on one side. We never want to have d be equal to d. That just doesn't make sense. It's confusing and it doesn't give us a number. So let's subtract the 4d. And I'm only doing it this way because I want to make it easier on myself and make sure that I get a positive value instead of having to deal with negative numbers. So d plus 17 equals 12. Now we subtract 17. And d is equal to negative 5.